Hello and welcome to 10 Ton Potato. I'm your host, Bradley Holdenes, and I am joined with my co-host, Craig Tarr. Today, we have a very special guest, Brett Lonsdale. Brett,
thank you very much.
Welcome.
Yeah, great to see you both. Thanks, Brett. Thanks, Craig.
Great to see you too. It's been way too long.
It has been a while. I was trying to think. The last time I saw you in person was probably in London, I think, at the Ignite on Tour. Was that the?
It could have been that one. There was also a SharePoint Saturday in Derby.
Possibly, yeah.
As well.
Whichever order they came in.
Yeah. It was definitely pre-COVID.
Right. Yeah, both of those things were. So before that blur that happened in our lives.
Yeah, I have a gap. Yeah, it's like everything happened before COVID and then after COVID. Very two different lives.
Exactly
almost.
Right.
But fantastic to have you on the show for our listeners and our watchers. Brett Lonsdale is the founder and CEO of Lightning Tools, a company that provides products on top of SharePoint, and a Microsoft 365 MVP.
That's right. Yeah.
How many years have you been Microsoft?
Yeah,
MVP?
so I've just been renewed for the 7th year, which is great. Actually, it's quite funny. Just to get a laugh on this straight away. There was some changes that they made to the MVP renewal this year to the website and so on. And there was a lot of people thinking that they hadn't been renewed, and I was one of those people. And that dream came to haunt me last night. And for some reason, I dreamt that my wife, who has nothing to do with Microsoft 365 anymore and so on, was awarded the MVP, and I wasn't. And it was like a nightmare. I was ranting at other MVPs, and I was ranting at MVP lead, so I'm trying to figure out what was going on.
Yeah. No, I can understand. I'm fully there.
Whilst you said 7 years of MVP, how long has Lightning Tools been around for?
Yes, so Lightning Tools, we founded back in 2007. So prior to that, I was teaching Microsoft SharePoint development, mostly week in, week out. I was an instructor by trade. I used to be a Microsoft certified trainer, teaching not just SharePoint, but things like C# and SQL and things like that back in the day. And if you recall back to SharePoint 2003 era, Microsoft Learning hadn't actually provided any material whatsoever, with the exception of like a 2-day workshop that consisted of 4 sheets of paper. And on those 4 sheets of paper was like, here's a paragraph about what SharePoint is, and here's an exercise, go and build a web part. And I was given this as an MCT and told, you can create ASP components. Why don't you go and teach this course? I'm like, I don't even know what SharePoint is. So we managed to find 2 people in the States, which was Bill English and Todd Bleeker. They were based in Minnesota. They ran a SharePoint training company that built their own courseware and so on. So I went and attended one of their courses to understand what I was doing. And still, during that course, I was creating site definitions, I was creating web parts and so on. But I still didn't really know what SharePoint was. I'm like, okay, I'm like building these components. The sort of concept of a collaboration tool wasn't sinking in until I started to attend some end user training and so on, and then I got it. But that's how I got into SharePoint really. And then in 2007, having taught that week in, week out, started to realize that there's a lot of people here that are having the same issues. So whether it's around permissions, whether it's around content aggregation and so on. Yeah. So I thought, I've been training for a long time now, and decided let's actually start building some components that will help people here. So that's what we did. We formed Lightning Tools.
And the name is so synonymous with SharePoint. You think SharePoint, you think Lightning Tools have been around the same amount of time. It's insane.
Fantastic. Thank you. Yeah.
And a great team as well. Love hanging out with your team. That's really knowledgeable, nice guys staying around.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, and likewise with GT Consult. So, yeah.
Oh, you don't have to say true. That. Just crazy.
I think we again many years ago we came out to South Africa to Johannesburg and that was for one of your community events. I think that was a SharePoint Saturday, branded as that. Yeah, yeah.
It must have been. Yeah.
So yeah, that was many years ago, and that was the first time I met you guys. So yeah, good times.
We need to do some more of those kind of collaboration type days. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think that's what we're talking
that's
about.
a great segment. Well done. Well done. So SharePoint Saturdays have gone. If you go to the SharePoint Saturday site, it's gone. What is the replacement now?
Yeah, so
Is there?
yeah, and it took a while. I mean, SharePoint Saturday, yeah, it was almost like a franchise model, I guess, where there was the original organizers of SharePoint Saturday. They would have their own sort of set of rules and values that they would provide you as an event organizer. So we organized a SharePoint Saturday back in, I think it was 2013 was our first one. And that was SharePoint Saturday UK. That was based in Birmingham, and we did that each year. As they got more popular, we thought, well, this is a little bit unfair. We're sort of hogging the UK brand. So we renamed it more of a sort of Midlands one. We had SharePoint Saturday Leicester and so on. And then there was also SharePoint Saturday London. But these were around the world. There was like 2 or 3 running every single week somewhere. I mean, it could not just North America or Europe. It was or South Africa. They were literally around the world in Australia and in Asia and what have you.
Remember the quilt that Christian Buckley made?
Yeah. I bet he still got that quilt.
It does.
Share quilt.
Yeah. But yeah, the events were great, but then of course, I think there was a lot of confusion in the SharePoint space around the sort of 2016 era, where people were rumoring or there was a rumor the SharePoint was dying and so on. Wasn't going to exist anymore and what have you. And then of course SharePoint 2019 came out. There was SharePoint Online and so on. And it still existed, but under Microsoft 365, it's less of that sort of mainstream application that it was. We're using Teams, of course, and for collaboration a lot more, and Planner or whatever. So calling it SharePoint Saturday,
our platform,
didn't really make sense anymore. So it's more about collaboration now. The CollabDays started with Addis Hugo, who originally he was running his own sort of smaller community event as well, which was I forget what it was originally called now. Actually, it wasn't Collab Summit. It was something else prior to that. But it was held in Croatia, in like Zagreb, and they were getting maybe like 300 to 400 attendees or something like that. And then he moved it to Germany, and it just exploded. He's now sort of getting 2,000 to 3,000 attendees, and it's a big event. And in fact, this year it's not just the Collab Summit, which is about the Microsoft 365 collaboration tools. They've also got the Cloud Summit taking place at the same time in the same building, but separate conference. And they've also introduced the BizApps Summit, which is going to have more of a focus on the Power Platform and also other technologies that are not necessarily Microsoft themselves. So things like WebCon and Nintex, anything that's a business application, that they will be able to also have sessions and so on as well at that event. So that takes place once a year. But there's a lot of people that, can't.
That's March,
May,
isn't it?
Yeah, May.
March,
so it took place in May this year. It's taking place in Düsseldorf May next year. But obviously, as an annual event, there's a lot of people that might not want to wait until then, or they don't have the budget to go, or they've got a conflict or something. So they came up with the model of CollabDays being a more sort of regionalized event that was in line with what you had with SharePoint Saturday.
Yeah. Although we'd much all rather go to Zagreb than have it locally. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Collab Summit. I mean, you're getting thousands of attendees, though.
Yeah,
it's huge.
It was about 3,000 this year. It's a major event. Sort of 60 odd sessions and so on. It's really really good.
I mean, that's as big as it gets. I mean, what didn't we see each other in Vegas last year in March? Could have
not last year, but again, somewhere back in the past, would have seen you in Vegas.
But the Vegas one, that's how many attendees they had, and that was for the big Copilot
Mhm.
launch. So I mean that's
Yeah,
proper numbers. I chatted to Nikki from your team, and she gave me insight into being part of Collab Summit for next year, and we're definitely keen.
fantastic.
When I heard the numbers, I was like, why? I mean, being in South Africa, you don't hear about it as much, but now being in the UK, you absolutely want to be part of it. So yeah, super keen.
Superb. Yeah,
And so I wanted to just quickly jump into. So you're running a Collab Days soon, right? September the
that's right. Yeah,
25th, I believe.
yeah. So CollabDays is a nice segue into this as well from what you were saying earlier about the MVP. So during COVID, we were sat on our bi-weekly lunch and learn with our MVP lead in the UK, Claire Smith, and she had a guest a lady called Jackie, who's the director of the National Museum of Computing, which is on Bletchley Park. And if you don't
Yeah.
know Bletchley Park is where the code breaking originally occurred during World War II. They
Benedict
Yeah,
Cumberbatch.
if you've watched that movie, you know all about it. So yeah, in fact the Alan Turing bomb, BOMBE bomb, is the computer that decrypted the Enigma codes during World War II, and that is there in the museum working. You can actually see it operating. Yeah, which
Amazing.
is absolutely incredible to see, and it's in situ um, in the hut where it actually took place as well, which is just you get
Oh, that's so
goosepimples
cool.
like looking at this thing. I mean, my kids don't; they're just like, "What's what are these drums spinning?" You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, you get goosepimples seeing that thing. Now, there's a few politics going on in the Bletchley Park estate. There's a Bletchley Park Trust. With the main Bletchley Park Museum. Um, the National Museum of Computing is this much smaller area on Bletchley Park that hosts the computers dating from the 40s all the way up to present day. And it's just incredible to go around. Like I say, you start off with the Alan Turing bomb. There's the world's first sort of calculators, one called the Witch. Which is similar, Wolverhampton Institute of Technology and Computing, or something along those lines. And there's a joke there about, yeah, it's a
Mhm.
great job it wasn't in Birmingham, but that's
Oh
sinking for a
wow.
second.
Yeah.
But then they also have the Colossus machine as well, which was also a World War II machine, and that's the world's first. I forget what world's first computer as such. And then you go all the way up to like the BBC Classroom. I don't know if you had the BBC microcomputers in South Africa, but these were like educational computers that we had from the BBC in our schools, and it is literally like walking into a classroom when I was a kid inside this museum.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why we got involved with that event was Jackie was on our MVP call, pleading for help because they're in a sort of self-maintaining lease and they lease this hut that, like I say, has these computers that were in situ from World War II, and they had to make the rental payments to Bletchley Park Trust. They weren't given a break on that, but they had to close their doors to visitors. So they had zero income, and yet they still had to meet all their rent demands and so on. And there's also a lot of maintenance that just needed to be done on the museum itself. But
Yeah.
so
And how many of those computers did you integrate into Teams?
yeah, it's a little bit hard. Imagine the posts coming out as ticker tape or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, so it's a great story.
Brett liked your comment.
A fantastic story, and we were basically asked like, how can we help? And they also get involved with not just the museum, but they also help children with learning difficulties and so on to become educated. I was actually a mentor for a few occasions at that, like teaching a bit of programming and so on to some kids. And it's just amazing to see
Wonderful.
all the work that they do. So we were asked, yeah, how can we help? And there's a few companies in there that said, yeah, we'll donate this and we'll donate that. We actually donated some Raspberry Pis and so on to help the kids. But I had a sudden thought, like, we're giving quite a lot of money whenever we do a collab days to a hotel or a conference center and so on. Yeah, you normally like charge £40 per head or something like that for catering, plus a room charge and this, that, and the other. There's internet charge, whatever you need to pay for. So I said, would you be able to host a conference for like 200 or 300 people? And they're like, yeah, maybe. So we went down and checked it out, and it's like, well, this isn't going to be your typical sort of sponsor hall for the sponsors and so on. But what we could have is 1 or 2 sponsors per room in the museum. So people get to tour the museum, have a look at all these working computers, and talk to the sponsors at the same time, and then go into the breakout sessions. And the breakout sessions, literally, you have speakers, other MVPs and experts, and so on. They're talking about Microsoft 365 with the backdrop of Colossus or the backdrop of the bomb, and so on. And it's just amazing to see. And yeah, any sponsorship money, we cover our catering costs, and then anything else we get just goes to the museum and gets invested in that.
Well, we're glad to be sponsors of that event.
It means a lot, that you're sponsoring, not just to us, but to the museum as well. They're so grateful for that.
Yeah, I cannot wait, actually. That's a great intro to a story. I felt good about being part of CollabDays as is, and then that story is like, wow, no, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And have they committed to a 10-year deal? Are we going to do this every year?
Let's do it. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of becoming a difficult discussion about the number of attendees as well, because the museum is obviously only so big. The sessions can only be a certain size and so on. So we are probably going to outgrow the museum, or maybe we do it like more than once a year or something. I'm not sure what we'll do there, but
yeah.
Either way, it sounds like a good idea for me to renew my UK visa.
Do it. Come across.
That's super, super cool. So that's Wednesday, the 25th of September this year.
Yeah.
And how's everything been going? I know running a CollabDays is manic.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So it's myself along with another MVP, Paul Hunt, and also Tony Pounder, who we it was the 3 of us organising the SharePoint Saturdays. We've kind of stuck together as a team to organise this. We've got a great list of speakers, so not just UK speakers, but from around the world, which is wonderful. We're covering the usual sort of subjects, but also we've got a lot to say about Copilot. In fact, we were joking, like last year we were actually asking anybody, do you have a Copilot session? We really want to have a Copilot session. This year, I think we had to reject a whole bunch of Copilot sessions because everybody wants to talk about Copilot. But yeah, we've got Copilot, we've got SharePoint Teams. There's some Viva in there. There's also Azure covering end user all the way up to development and IT professional type stuff. So some fantastic sessions. That's all in place. I think we're at capacity for sponsors. Like I say, there's no big sponsor hall, so I don't think we can actually take on any more sponsors than what we've got now, which is a great position to be in. And now it's about getting the attendees. So and we're making great momentum on that as well. So.
And in terms of the attendees, are they primarily business users or techies?
A big mix, actually. So you get quite a few techies. There's actually other people that we know in our community that will be showing up even if they're not speaking, just to attend, to network, and to join in the sessions as well. But equally, there's a lot of businesses around the Milton Keynes area. So Milton Keynes is, if you don't know it, it's strange. You feel like you're in the US when you're in Milton Keynes. It's a fairly modern town. It was built in the 50s or 60s, I think, and it's got that grid layout that you would get in a US city. With the exception of there's no traffic lights, there's roundabouts instead. So you'll find yourself forever going around roundabouts as you drive through.
So I've heard. MK, what they call it.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a lot of businesses that are there. It's becoming a sort of IT hub as well. It's central in the UK. There's a great rail network and so on. It's not too far to commute to London and so on. So it's it's a growing place, and we're getting a lot of local businesses from Milton Keynes. But equally, people will travel up from London. Like I say, the advantage is that you can jump on a train and be there in like 30 minutes from London as well. So yeah, all good.
I've just having a look at the speaker list, and it's incredible. Like Michael Knoll, like he's always great and wonderful to like just be around. And I was going through this, and I'm like, oh yeah, we know each other, And then I had a look at this guy, Dr. Bill
Yep.
Ayers. So the last time I saw him was at a speaker dinner, and him and his wife were with us, and we all kind of mixed up beans for chilies.
Okay.
And his wife bit into a bean that wasn't a bean, was a full-on chili, and she ever so politely, in the best English manner, said, "Would you perhaps allow me to have a sip of your beer?" And I said, "No, go ahead." She chugged it. And I was like, "What's going on?" She's like, "I've mistakenly eaten this chili and think it was a bean." I was like, "Can't be that hot." So I eat it, and then I completely freak out. I obviously have no beer to now squash the burning in my mouth. So I get up and run to go find some ice cream or something to cool me down. While that's happening, Bill goes, "It can't be that hot." He does exactly the same thing. Both of us are crying, trying to cool our mouths down. And that was the first time
Wow.
I met Bill. It was fantastic. But also great speaker. We've got so many like really cool people here, and this is a free to attend event. If you're in the industry and you're in this place, I mean, this is just tons of value.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason why you wouldn't want to be there. I mean, even from a networking point of view, if
Yes.
you're not interested in sending the sessions, yeah, just to be able to speak to these guys, and actually, I think that's a good point to bring up. Is many people see the speakers as being unapproachable, when they're attending these
Yeah.
events, and I think you've got to get beyond that and speak to these guys because they're so friendly. And any questions that you have, if they're not covered in one of the sessions, just ask, and we're always there to help. So
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest one. Except obviously Craig, when he gets off stage, is like, "Don't touch me for 5 minutes," and then
Buy
moves
me a
on.
beer and then it's all good.
But
there you
yeah,
go. But not the chilies.
I think SharePoint still applies though. After the event, there's still a
Yeah,
drinks and social
yeah,
kind of thing.
and speakers and sponsors also have a pre-day as well. So last year we had like a German style beer fest, which is great. One of my
Is that the one where you have to pedal and
not
drink at
quite,
the
no,
same
no.
time?
So if you think of those long German tables with plenty of beer and pretzels and all sorts of stuff, and then there'll be
Yeah.
like a number band playing and so on. That was basically what we had out in the car park outside of the museum. So that was last year. This year it's we've got an 80s band, so we're going to encourage dressing up and
Oh,
so on. And yeah, should be good.
absolutely.
Nice. Well,
That's going to be amazing.
will any of the Gen Zers get it? Although I believe they're into 80s bands. So yeah.
I'm sure they'll. Yeah, my daughter, she's 18. She's loving all the sort of Prince and Madonna and all that sort of thing that was good back in the day. So, yeah, for sure. So you've got you.
So
Yeah,
I
go
wanted
ahead.
to just quickly touch on a few of the
Mhm.
sessions that I've seen here, which I think are amazing. So because of the diversity, and like you said before, CollabDays is all about diversity in the space. And so you go from grow your company portal with Viva Connections, extending Copilot Studio, AI is hacking you, create best search for your SharePoint intranet, data lifecycle management, preparing Copilot in 365, a story about building a SaaS product from frustration to creation. I mean, it's
Yeah,
broad, kind of, and it's wonderful. And I think and that's just some of them. I think that's the beauty of
yeah,
CollabDays. It's not just so niche, and because when you buy an Office 365 license, and that kind of opens up this
mhm,
world of integration, you want to see what
yeah,
you can do. And I think that's the real reason you want to attend this event as well. Like, it's a huge
yeah,
plus.
absolutely. And yeah, I mean, of course, you can watch YouTube videos or read Microsoft Learning and things like that. But one of the benefits here is you get to actually ask questions and follow up with the instructor or even the other people that are in the session room, which is just invaluable.
The big the big thing is that share experience. So I could teach you how to do it, but in my experience, this doesn't work because of XYZ. In our company, this didn't work because of this, or we struggled. So pay attention to this. That experience that you're going to get is invaluable.
And I think you get that from the discussion in the room, whereas, as you say, watching something on YouTube, they're probably not going to go into the depth that you're interested in. So I love that.
And as speakers yourselves, I don't know if you come across it. When you try to do a session that is advanced, you tend not to get that many people attending that session. If it's more sort of entry level intro to a subject, whatever it is, you can fill the room. Now, when that happens, of course, you're getting the basics, but you can still ask those questions, as I mentioned. That instructor is there with the deep knowledge. That's why we've chosen these speakers. They have that deep knowledge to answer your questions. So even if it's something that hasn't been covered in the session, go and ask the question, and they'll be more than happy to answer that. It's so useful being in that place.
Fantastic.
So you're doing the same thing in South Africa?
That's correct. So when this podcast gets announced and gets released, you'll be able to jump online and go to CollabDays.org. And if you're in the UK region, obviously attend Bletchley Park. If you're in the South African region, you can attend Cape Town, Durban, or Joburg, all in the October timeline. And so check that out. We're still looking for sponsors and speakers, but venues are secured. Our venues are nowhere near as grand as Bletchley Park. I mean, we've got very grateful for Microsoft South Africa to host us in Joburg, which is great. Great venue, always been awesome there, very central. Very hospitable, lovely to always be at Microsoft. Durban, we're down at the beachfront.
Nice.
It's going to be amazing. Nice hotel there. A little bit smaller venue, 150 only, but still wonderful. And then Cape Town, I think we're in near the waterfront area, I think.
Beautiful.
But also great venue, 250 odd. So not as big as what it used to be. I mean, I think Cape Town we used to do 700 for SharePoint Saturday. It's going to be a little bit smaller, but again, it's during the week. So I think the people who want to be there will be there, and I think it will still be pretty epic.
Super.
And so
that's great. And
this has been pretty great catching up with you, Brett. I am conscious of our time, and so glad that everything's been going well for you. And congratulations on all of your success with Lightning Tools, with 7 MVPs, with talking to us from the Appalachian Trail in America. That for me is a bucket list item.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I can't wait to see you and hang out at Bletchley Park. I mean,
going to be amazing.
Be
I really hope.
I'm just jealous of the. Oh, sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, I really hope that we can get down to South Africa as well. I've got an uncle in Joburg, so I've been across a few times, but I've never been to Cape Town, never been to Durban. So I'd love to.
Well, we are looking for sponsors, so
I know. I heard
that. Perfect timing.
Did you catch that sponsorship?
And of course, I'm going to be missing out on that slow roast pork that you're probably having in North Carolina at the moment.
Yeah,
might have to bring some of that with you. But Brett, thank you so much.
Well, thank you both as well. It's been a pleasure, and thank you so much for the sponsorship on CollabDays. Like I say, it really means a lot. So, and good luck with your event. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, man. Right. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful holiday.
Take care.
When we get to you.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.